Welcome, sci-fi fans. This is Greg from Greg Reviews Sci-Fi, and today we're going to review a book called The Starhawk Chronicles by Joseph J. Madden. Hi, if this is your first time to the channel, I review sci-fi books, movies, and TV shows. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you're notified when I make new videos. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. You can find me on all social medias as Greg Reviews Sci-Fi. If you're looking for more book recommendations, check out gregreviewssci-fi.com, where I have an entire store of the best curated sci-fi books available. You can go right to gregreviewssci-fi.com. You can click on Classic Sci-Fi, Greg's Picks. If you're looking for a good series, you can click Recommended Series. All right, let's get into the review. One thing I like to do up front is kind of go over the tropes that are in this book, because I think a lot of people buy books based on the tropes that they like in sci-fi. And this is very much a bounty hunter, following in your father's footsteps, flying your father's old ship kind of book. It also has a trope of chasing down a gang, in this case the Nexus gang, that has previously done you some harm. And I don't want to give too much of the book away because I really like it and I hope that you read it. But I just want to give you kind of a glimpse as to the story so you know what you're getting into. It has a lot of space opera. There's a spaceship boarding, there's some spaceship battles, but this is really kind of if Jesse Forster and his team were a military unit, this would be more military sci-fi. But I put it kind of in soft science fiction because it's really just kind of a crew. So think of more Firefly than Star Wars. It has kind of a Western vibe to it. Jesse has, his set of pistols that he really likes and uses. He's got his brother with him. He's got a crew member from his dad's old crew with him, among other things. He's got a cool AI called Sneaker. It's kind of like an AI robot, I should say. And it reminds me of those robots from Batteries Not Included, if you've seen that, like a little flying saucer guy, like little hands. But that's what you're getting into with this book. All right, now let's get into the ratings. For story, I gave it 4 stars. I really like the story. It's a bit predictable, but there's enough elements in it to keep me turning pages one after the other. I read this book so fast. It's 206 pages, and you really think that you've got it all figured out. And there's a couple twists and turns. There's a new character introduced kind of a quarter way or midway through. There's a lot of drama, maybe I could say family drama or team drama. And it makes the book much more interesting than the trope itself. So I gave the story 4 stars. Characters, I also gave 4 stars. The characters are what make this book. Madden has done a nice job flushing out the backstory without having to do massive flashbacks. There's a couple of them, but they're not multiple pages or multiple chapters. There's also the introduction of Kayla kind of quarter in or midway, and you think you know who she is and kind of where she came from and what's going on with her. But it affects Jesse in a very specific way due to what he's dealing with hunting down this Nexus gang. I won't tell you if Kayla joins the crew, but it definitely has an effect on Jesse and his crew. I'm not going to go super deep into the characters because if you read this book, I don't want to give any of the interactions away because it's very much a character-driven book. And with that said, there's not a lot of time spent on the antagonist. The antagonist is this Nexus gang, and we learn about the different people in the gang, and we learn how they affect Jesse and his crew, but it's not we don't get huge amounts of backstory, which is great because this is a standalone book, even though it's called a Chronicles, and the book does wrap up really nicely at the end. The pacing on this book is really great. I gave it 4.5 stars. Like I said, I think I read this book in 2 days, maybe a day and a half. I was turning the pages one after the other. It's really a solidly written book. I didn't find any grammatical errors. There was no weird things that popped me out of the story. So nice job there. For originality and technology, I gave both of those 3 stars. Like I said, this is a pretty standard trope. Even the story itself is fairly common, where you're a bounty hunter and you're going to chase a gang, and that gang has done something to you in the past to make it personal. Very overused trope, but it was executed really well. And for technology, the reason I gave it 3 stars is because it's an average use of known sci-fi technology. There's nothing invented. This is not a hard sci-fi. This is not a book that invents a lot of sci-fi. It's a character-driven story about a bounty hunter and his crew going to track down the bad guys, for lack of a better term. Overall, I gave this book 3.7 stars out of 5, which is a very good score. This is a solid book. I'm glad I read it. It's expertly written. If you're going to read a bounty hunter trope, or you're watching The Mandalorian and you want to read a book like a bounty hunter book, this is a great one to pick up. I'll put the link in the description. I hope you check it out. I'll also put the link in for my curated Amazon store. So if you want additional options for your next book, you can check me out there. Again, thanks for watching. This is the review of the Starhawk Chronicles by Joseph J. Madden. Thanks, bye.